Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about a crypto sector that can explode by 2035. However, I think that it is going to explode a lot sooner than that because we are already seeing the very, very early signs. I'm not telling you to buy anything. All I'm telling you to do, use your mind, exercise it, go to CoinGecko, CoinMarketCap, and look at the top coins made in the USA that focus on RWAs, tokenization of real world assets. It's just another fancy term for NFTs, AI, and DeFi. We talk about RWAs all the time on the show. I know it's not sexy. I know it's not fun. I know a lot of you guys are like, oh my God, but at the same time, we're in this really weird cycle. And I talk about us being in this really, really weird cycle all the time because it is what it is. And you know what? You got to be patient. I know a lot of people are not patient. I'm not patient. I'm probably the least patient person in the world. But guess what? We're talking about money. When we're talking about investing, when we're talking about building out and setting a solid foundation, you need to be patient. Shout out to all the members of the O Army on YouTube. Good morning to the TikTok babes, to Rumble babes, to Twitch babes. Good morning to Mr. R, to Mr. D, to Mr. John Germain watching me on the Memorex, Mr. R again, Liz Guy, and of course, Mr. John Legend. Let's go ahead and get into it because there's a lot of stuff going on. I'm excited. It's Tuesday. Is it Tuesday? Is it Taco Tuesday? I don't know. We don't know. We're just here. Anyways, let's go and get into it. So first and foremost, I want to talk about this sector. Why am I talking about this sector? Why am I talking about this boring stuff? Because it's important. Because I want to give you as much information I can about as many things as possible so you can go ahead and do your own due diligence and make best possible life for yourself. Global tokenized real estate market could explode by $4 trillion by 2035. And this is from Delight, or Delighty, whatever you want to call them. They've been in the crypto space for quite some time, talking about crypto, doing all these things. So we like them. We like to hear what we have to say. So their financial services predicts that tokenized real estate could grow from under 300 billion to 4 trillion by 2035. And they believe it can grow at a compound annual rate of 27%. And the outline report gives three-pronged evolution of tokenized property: private real estate funds, securitized loan ownership, and under construction or underdeveloped land projects. Now, I want to talk about this a little bit because we're also seeing this really weird thing happen in the United States of America. Possibly a housing crash. And again, remember, Bitcoin was created out of 2008 to really tell the big banks and tradfy the predatory third parties to GFY. Because the way that they gave loans out was incredibly unethical, and it was wrong, and it just all kinds of stuff. But I still think the way that they do it is wrong. I think they qualify people that necessarily shouldn't be qualified, and that's not a jab, that's not a slam. But we need to figure out how to set Americans up for success. Reintroducing financial education into schools. Make it part of mental health because having good finances is having good. It could resort to better mental health. But in addition, Americans. We hear debt. Rich people take out debt. That's not always a good thing to do, though. It's not, because people that have money, that have assets, they use debt differently than us. And I'm not talking about credit card debt. If you have to use your credit card right now to pay for food, shelter, and energy, that's different because times are completely effed up right now. But I'm talking about not having a plan, taking out debt, and just hoping that everything's going to be okay. And we're starting to really see that happen in the real estate industry, primarily single family homes. A lot of people did that whole Airbnb thing, things when apps are going down south with that, because owning a business is hard. Not everybody is cut out to be an entrepreneur. Most small businesses fail, just like a lot of crypto companies fail. Now, when we're talking about what is happening with the real estate market, interest rates are so damn high right now. Like I'm looking at a second property to help to help some family members out. And they could afford the payment at a 3% rate, not at a 6% rate, not a 7% rate. It literally almost doubles your payment. It's crazy. Like even for mobile homes, it's absolutely insane. So people are not even able to get qualified right now to even buy mobile homes. It's crazy. In California, primarily, we're actually seeing a lot of people want to sell their houses because of the politics here. The lack of accountability with the LA fires, all those different things. It's not really super safe to live here unless you live far. Even where I live, it's still get a little bit ghetto sometimes. Now, that being said, we're seeing all these new houses being built like crazy all over the United States of America. Number one, people can't afford to get in them. And number two, the people that are building them, they're losing money because they're like, okay, we're going to charge like $800,000 for a house. It's not going to happen. So I think RWAs, back to RWAs and real estate and whatnot, I think that RWAs tokenizing properties is really going to help a lot with transparency, to really see what, to see, because when they do all these statistics, the sample number that they use, the sample size, it's very easy to manipulate. It really, really is, especially when you're the one doing all these calculations. You kind of get to pick and choose who does it. Why am I saying this? I took like 9 million math courses because I wanted to be a pharmacist, and you have to do that. But what we're seeing happen is we're not really seeing transparent reports. We're seeing, this guy said so many empty houses. There's a lot of empty houses and a lot of homeless people. What's happening? So we're seeing certain data from certain companies, but of course it's not the complete story. So if we're tokenizing real estate and we're tokenizing all these different aspects of real estate, like the building, maybe even doing supply chain management with the different supplies being used, whatnot, that's going to help give a more transparent estimate as to what is really happening. And then also too, when you're talking about RWAs and properties and real estate, we are able to actually see, transfer of ownership, if there's any liens on the house, if there was unpermitted illegal additions, those types of things. It's going to help really just kind of push everything to the forefront, bring scalability, bring speed, and really just remove a lot of these archaic methods and systems that we have in the United States of America. And we shouldn't have these in the United States of America. Everything should be super transparent and fast, right? So I don't know how transparent a lot of the property will get with RWAs, but it's a step in the right direction. It's a step in the right direction. And I think it's very important. And I'm excited to see that change. So it's important to start researching projects that are RWAs, even if it's not real estate, even if it's just projects that are focusing on designer goods, or anything of value that you can track, I think it's important. I do think we are going to have another housing crash. I think that I don't know how much longer this administration could prolong it. Seriously, like we have to do something with the interest rates and with the property taxes. Like China, they don't have property taxes. They don't. Once you buy the house, you buy it. It's yours. It is yours. It is completely yours. Why? I have no idea why, but that's just what they do over there. Okay. Now let's go ahead and get back into some of the news because it's important. It's important. So we have the global tokenized real estate market, and it could explode to $4 trillion by 2035. I think it's going to be bigger than that soon. Yep. VeChain does a great job of that too. We love the folks over at VeChain. I'm trying to start an initiative with them. I think it's going to be a good one too. I'm excited for it. But let's keep this going. And then I got to do a market update for you guys. Got to do a market update. And then this story over here, this story is from Propy. This is way back in January 2024. But Propy, just to give you guys a quick refresher, and again, we are partnered with them today on the O Show, Everything Crypto. Thank you so much to Propy for partnering with us. But I wanted to kind of bring this story back to explain what Propy does in the real estate market, because again, we're starting to see people get crypto-backed loans to buy houses. We're starting to see the expansion of RWAs, and we're starting to see projects with actual real utility come to the forefront. Meme coins and whatnot will always be there, but at the same time, it's important to have a diversified portfolio or consider it. So real estate firm Propy is rolling out crypto-backed loans to buy houses. Bitcoin and Ethereum holders can get loans to acquire tokenized properties and use their crypto as collateral. To be able to use your crypto as collateral, because the Bitcoiners have this saying. They have this saying that never sell your Bitcoin. I don't recommend that. I think that you need to do whatever it is you need to do to get property, to get your family right, whatever it is, just as long as it's ethical and you're not breaking the law, okay? But at the same time, people that do actually plan to hold their Bitcoin for a very, very, very long time, maybe just pass it down to their kids, to be able to collateralize it and get a loan on a property, because again, housing is something that is, it's a must-have. You have to have shelter. I think that might not necessarily be a bad idea. I think it might actually be a good idea. And I'm sure there's probably some sort of tax incentives. Obviously, you got to chat with your CPA and all that stuff. But Propy is offering this particular service to you, which is great. It's fantastic. And that's exactly what they're doing. They're putting real estate on chain. They have a native token, #Pro, and it allows for on-chain real estate transactions like settlements, title transfers, and much, much more, which is exactly what RWAs are. And again, we're talking about transferring a title, and you have like all these escrow companies and all the paperwork you have to do. This is going to minimize that. It's going to make the process a lot faster. It's all going to be on chain. And there's no banks needed for this, which is absolutely great, because the whole entire purpose of of utilizing crypto is removing those predatory third parties. Okay. And the cool thing about Propy is they've already processed over 4 billion in real estate transactions. And when we talked about the previous article about Dottie, I like to call them that. But they do predict that the tokenized real estate market is going to go hit $4 trillion by 2035. I think it's going to be quicker than that. I think it is, because once they transfer everything on chain, then you're going to see this massive value plus inflation, all that type of stuff. But again, at the same time, 42% of millennials and Gen Z now own crypto, and which I think is great. And I think that we're going to see a lot of that generation, myself included, utilizing our crypto to take out these types of loans and to access these types of services. And it's also creating a pretty big demand and solutions to bridge digital and physical assets, which is something to pay attention to. Everything is going to be digital soon. Everything is, regardless of what it is. And investors are no longer going to have to choose between holding Bitcoin and owning real estate. I think everybody should own property in America. I think you should really own at least one piece of property in America. I personally think so. And Propy's Bitcoin loan program does eliminate the trade-off, and you can actually use Bitcoin as collateral to buy real estate without selling or triggering taxes. That is something very important to know. You do need to talk to your CPA about that to make sure that it fits in with your tax plan, because again, you can't just do big financial things and not consult with your CPA, especially a large transaction. Buying a house or buying a property is going to be one of the biggest purchases you make of your entire life. So if you're going to do it, make sure you do it correct and you get the proper information. That's why I always tell you guys to grith ethically within the constraints of the law, like the super wealthy people do, so that we can achieve the types of things that they have. So again, shout out to Propy for partnering with the O Show, everything crypto, every single day. Make sure you guys check them out. I do believe they are listed on Coinbase. They've got a really great community. The links are going to be down below. Join, ask some questions. Maybe this is something that makes sense for you to do. So talk to Propy, talk to your real estate people, talk to your CPAs, and get the good stuff. Get the good stuff, okay? Now, let's go ahead and get into the markets over here. Let's go ahead and get into the markets over here, okay? So, now we're seeing RWAs again. Well, not really RWAs, but crypto. So, crypto, Eric Trump confirms crypto payments will be accepted for the Trump Tower in Dubai. Trump Organization partners with DAR Global on $1 billion development project. Project will feature luxury residences with penthouses priced at $20.4 million each, which is absolutely crazy. But again, there's a lot of money in Dubai, so this absolutely does make sense. So crypto payments will be accepted. Coins are not going to be, they're not disclosed yet as to what they are taking or not. But again, maybe you might be able to use Propy to go ahead and do that. I have no idea. But we're seeing crypto be adopted at a very, very fast rate. That's why I think the RWA market is going to be much more massive than what we think it is. And again, if you don't know how to research RWAs, go to CoinMarketCap. You can go to RWAs right here. Right here, we can go in and we can click on RWAs, and you can see every single project that has to do with RWAs. Every single project. And then, or you could go to Made in the USA, and you can click every single project made in the USA, and then back check them with what's RWAs. Or not. I don't know. Whatever you want to do. But again, this is something I recommend using as a great research tool. Now, let's take a look at the markets. So, hype is up. Virtual is up. I don't know what the hell I did here, but I did something. Oh, can we put this back over here? Oh, anyways, this is what's going on with crypto bubbles over here. Let's take a look at the weekly. Weekly Virtual is up. I believe this is an AI coin. Pengu is up because they're doing a lot of cool things in Dubai. Lair, Brett, Trump, makes sense. Bonk your bonk, WorldCoin, etc. Now, taking a quick look at the current state of the market. Bitcoin, what is she doing? Bitcoin is actually trying to retest this area over here and break above $95,000, which is important for more bullish price action over here. Again, 2035, that's from the report that we talked about from Delight, but I think that market is going to grow a lot bigger before that. I don't know if we're going to hit $4 trillion before 2035, but I think we are going to get pretty close to that. And we're starting to see it happen now. All we need is more TradFi and institutions and the hedge funds guys to come in and do it. Now with Bitcoin, we're trading between $95,000 and $93,000. We're a little bit overbought on the daily. As far as the weekly goes, a little bit overbought, but not really overbought. We still have some nice room up. However, taking a look at the 4 hour, let's see, 4 hours actually looking pretty healthy. Like we're going to go ahead and retap above $95,000. But at the end of the day, I love to refer to this chart over here and see what's going on. We're right above $95,000. We need to close above $95,000 to continue a bullish upward trajectory over here. Okay, so I want to see us close above $95,000. Ethereum is above $1,800, which is great, but we also need to break above the resistance at 1850. Solana is doing okay. We got that little back test here, and then we're just getting ready to retest 157. SUI is holding the line really nicely above $3.32. It does look a little bit bought over here, but that's okay. Next target for SUI would probably, hold on, let me see. Let me go pull my fibs and be lazy because I love to be lazy over here. Yeah, this is a nice area. $3.80 to flip above it. That would be nice. XRP has been holding the line really nicely between 223 and about 237. Chainlink holding nicely at this line about 1480, trying to figure out where exactly she wants to land. Cardano is doing well and is above 67 cents, trading at 71. HBAR is consolidating nicely in between 17 and 20 cents. So if we do get a really, really nice Bitcoin pump and we're able to sustain and above 95,000, I would expect most of these altcoins to follow. Now, gold, I wanted to take a look at it. Gold just kind of cold chilling because of all the insanity happening. But let's get into this story over here. Okay. And this is outstanding. Shout out to Dennis Porter for this. Arizona legislator passes Bitcoin reserve bill, governor approval pending. It looks like Arizona might be one of the first states to actually get a Bitcoin strategic reserve. Now, why does this matter? The reason why this matters is, again, Bitcoin's a finite asset, and you're having governments, you're having hedge funds, institutions, businesses, large corporations buy and hold Bitcoin, and they're printing money to do that, or they're selling assets that they can be bought with printed money to buy Bitcoin. So Arizona is the first state to pass legislation creating a Bitcoin strategic reserve. The bill now goes over to Governor Kathy Hobbs, who has pledged to veto all bills until a budget is passed. That's going to be a little bit interesting over here. And you know what? I don't agree, or I actually agree with her 100% on doing this. Until I'm a big, and I understand that governments operate like businesses, but at the end of the day, guys, the United States of America has a spending problem, and we are in so much debt that you just can't buy things. You need to balance a budget. You at least need to have a budget. So I think that she doing the right thing here. Bitcoin holdings would fall under existing state fund rules with oversight, and Arizona could become the first state to officially integrate Bitcoin into its fiscal policy. So the race is on. The race is on. And I know that there's there's a little bit of discourse happening on Polymarket right now, and a lot of people are like, okay, algo's RWA too, I believe, and a little bit of a discourse that I think that has happening on Polymarket is people are like, are they gonna approve a Bitcoin strategic reserve in the first 100 days? No, they're not going to. It's going to take time. You see, because America's been in this really bad mess since like the early 2000s, you know. So there's a lot of work that has to be done. There's stuff with the Federal Reserve, there's stuff with the IRS, there's stuff with state spending, with the federal spending, all these things that are happening. Plus we have DOGE coming in, essentially like cutting things and going, crazy, which I think that they need to do. We need to know where our money's going. We deserve to know. Tokenize all our tax money so we know where it is. But moral of the story is here. Okay, moral of the story here is that it's going to take a little bit, it's going to take time to get these strategic reserves to pass. They're not going to happen overnight. I think they're going to happen across the next 4 years. I'm more bullish on altcoins end of quarter 3, 2025 because of the ETFs. Again, we've got the XRP ETF and the Dogecoin spot ETFs delayed, not denied, delayed until mid-June from the SEC because, again, Paul Atkins just stepped up. So I think we're going to have an altcoin season once we get these crypto ETFs approved, once that starts happening, because people are going to be scrambling to buy because, again, some retail doesn't have access to all these traditional financial products the way that credit investors do, which we need to get rid of the credit investor law. But make sure you guys smash the like. Smash the like. Smash it. And I'm also trying to get a new desk, but we're having problems. Yeah. Anyways, let's get back to this. Thank you guys for being here with me. But you should be holding Bitcoin. I'm challenging all of you to hold at least 1,000 in Bitcoin, and you can use Lolly to earn it when your wife shops on the internet. It's free. Now, this is a clip from my besties over at Altcoin Daily. They're my besties, my friends. I like my friends over there. Love you guys. All right, let's go and listen to this clip, okay? U.S. Commerce Secretary Lutnick. We're going to turbocharge Bitcoin mining in America.
And we're doing all sorts of interesting things. I'll give you an example. We're going to make it, if you want to mine Bitcoin and you find the right place to do it, you can build your own power plant next to it. I mean, think about that for a second. You don't have to necessarily be on the grid, right? So, and you're going to see this happen, which is miners are going to put their data centers on top of gas fields, right? And then put a plant right next to them so that they won't be beholden to the drawing power and listening to all the stories about, oh, you're taking too much power and now the cost of operating my refrigerator is higher and all the things we have to deal with now. What you'll see is the next generation of miners in America will be able to control their destiny, control the cost of power. And I think that is going to turbocharge Bitcoin mining in America. And so the idea is for the investment accelerator to help people, as an example, who have those kind of ideas. How do they get those permits? How do you execute on that plan? You call the investment accelerator and we help you execute it. And we're doing all sorts of...
All right, let's talk about this. There's a lot of moving parts here. So for a very, very, very long time, mining Bitcoin is... Mining Bitcoin has been very expensive. It's been very, unless you're super, super tech heavy, it's hard to do. Okay. I'm not smart enough to do it. I think Mr. John Germain is though. So you guys can ask him questions. No, but mining Bitcoin is hard. It's very, very expensive, but they have found that Bitcoin mining provides solutions. There's different ways that you can manage the energy. If I'm saying that correctly, great, fine, fantastic. But the fact that they're going to have like an office people can come into to get the permits and to do all the things that need to be done, that's amazing. However, I don't know how they're going to be, they could do that federally, but I don't know how they're going to be able to do that on a state level. I don't know how they're going to be able to do it on a state level because like places like California, we're ghetto here. And we're like, we're using too much energy for this, but really other people are doing heinous things. I digress. But I think that this is a good initiative. I think it's great for Bitcoin miners. John says it's not very profitable. It's not very profitable. However, if you're able to harness the energy properly, I think it's a good thing. I think it's a win. But again, and if you're getting grants and all that type of stuff, because remember all the solar panel grants that they were giving out? I think everybody should have solar in America. But what do I know? I'm just an idiot on the internet. But again, this is actually revolutionary for Bitcoin price too. One of the things that people don't talk about is Bitcoin mining economics. We talk about a little bit on the channel. I'm not the smart. It is energy intensive. Yes, it is. But one of the things that we don't talk a lot about, or people don't talk a lot about, is Bitcoin mining economics. One of the reasons why we do have Bitcoin volatility is because for a long time, Bitcoin miners would actually have to sell their Bitcoin to pay for their overhead costs. But now we have collateralized loans and all kinds of stuff. So this actually might help stabilize Bitcoin price in the future. Might. We don't know. You don't know. You don't know. You're just here. Now, let's talk about Vitalik, because he's being ghetto. Vitalik outlines 2 goals for Ethereum Foundation: promoting real usage that leverages Ethereum's underlying properties, enhance network resilience and decentralization by addressing weak points throughout the stack. Now, this is the thing. I'm going to give you guys some titty bitties here, okay? So, one of the biggest problems we have in crypto is poor crypto communication and marketing within a lot of these foundations and a lot of these teams and a lot of these companies. We have really, really smart people that are able to build really dope stuff, but they are not able to articulate their use case, what they're building, their utility, a lot of that stuff. And this example of Ethereum's poor performance over the years is literally that. You have this really, really smart guy that's able to build. That's his talent. Again, this is not shaming anyone. This is just more so of communicating and letting you know when you're researching projects, if they do not have good communication in their foundations or their team and they're not able to articulate things clearly, you probably want to stay away. Doesn't matter what a great project it is. For example, HBAR Foundation. great communication. Ripple, great communication. Chainlink, great communication. They have really smart people doing the dev stuff, and they have really smart people doing the communication and doing the marketing and getting the word out and articulating these complex ideas. And that's why Ethereum has been so much hot water lately. And XRP will 100% flip Ethereum. It will. It does have more use case in the real world as far as banking system goes. As of now. Now, let's go ahead and get some more stuff over here. So basically what he wants to do is he's proposing 100 times gas limit increase over 4 years via Ethereum improvement proposal, which are the EIPs. Again, these are so freaking complex. So like the way that it's even worded is hard. It's very, very, very hard to understand. The proposal aims for predictability and sustainability, which would make things run easier on the nodes, or actually run higher on the nodes, be harder. But basically said that boosting layer 1 capacity could improve competitiveness with high throughput chains, Solana and Aptos. It would raise gas limit to 36 million to 3.6 bilob, enabling 2,000 TPS. I think Hedera does 10,000 TPS and VeChain does that or something. I don't even know. I can't even talk about this because it's so complicated. All I know is that they need to fix the layer 1, and I'm selling most of my Ethereum this cycle. That's all I know. Now, 1inch launches on Solana. Plans to cross-chain swaps to boost liquidity. You want to know why? 1inch was a very popular DEX way back in the day with the Uniswap stuff. I don't think they did an airdrop like Uniswap did. I don't remember. Anyways, they're integrating Solana because more people are on Solana. And another thing I'm going to tell you guys too is a lot of people are not using centralized exchanges because there's so many damn centralized exchanges, no one using them. Why would you want to use a centralized exchange when you could use 1inch or Uniswap and Ratum or just swap within MetaMask or Phantom or whatever? You don't need to. Make sure you smash a like. Like is free. Anyways. But moral of the story is, the layer 1s are competing. And really the only thing Ethereum has at this point is they spent so much time working and making things accessible for layer 2s, which no one really wants to use layer 2s. And we can even argue base. Only people that know are using base are people that are on Twitter, not on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, and Meta, or Instagram, whatever. Really quick little story over here, okay? This is the whole Mastercard story. I want to talk about this. So really quickly. So Mastercard, they launched a stablecoin payment feature. They partner with OKX, MetaMask, Kraken, Circle, many, many more. It's going to allow stablecoin spending over 150 million merchants, and merchants can receive settlements in USDC and Paxos stablecoins. And OKX is also launching the OK card to connect crypto holdings to Mastercard network. However, this is from Digital Asset Investor. Ex-Rippler Cindy Young was digital and fintech global lead at Mastercard prior to joining Ripple. So they're basically trying to tie her with this, which I hope it was. But either way, we talked about the Mastercard news yesterday, and I think that this is important because, again, we are seeing a lot of focus shift over to stablecoins, and really no one is going to use crypto to spend. They're going to use stablecoins to spend. So the fact that Mastercard is like involved in this is a pretty big deal. Really, really big deal. I did a video for you guys yesterday about it. Let's see this. CBDCs costly fiat copy, not fintechs assessed so far, says ex-Binance executive. Who is this? Who's saying this? I want to see. Yeah, basically, this is just talking about CBDCs. I'm not even going to cover it for you guys because CBDs are coming. That's what USDC is. Anytime you're putting something on chain, you can track it. It is what it is. And this is a BS article, in my opinion. Now, for Canada, we're just going to give you guys an update on Canadian politics. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney leads Liberal Party to victory in Canada's 2025 election. The former Bank of England governor is known for his measured but critical stance on Bitcoin, has pledged to make Canada the leader in emerging tech. To me, if he's not pro crypto and Bitcoin, he's going to make Canada anti-crypto. Now, one of the things I do want to say is very, very interesting. Very, very interesting is that we're going to be able to watch what happens in crypto in Canada and then compare it to if Harris would have won in the US. That's the only net positive here. So that is my opinion. I don't know. In the UK, they have new crypto asset rules to drive growth and protect consumers. This is basically new crypto rules. They want to crack down on scams and fraud. Proposal cited discussions with the U.S., cross-border payment sandbox with Hester Pierce. That's good. That's positive. This is the thing, though, you guys. The dude from Canada, I want to go back to him. He supports CBDCs. And he wants Canada to lead in AI tech and digital industries. He's going to, it's in strong regulation. He also criticized Bitcoin as poor store of value and an effective currency. So yeah, Canada's done for Canada's done for with crypto. It's sad. That's what it is. Court bars OFAC from reinstating tornado cash sanction. OFAC, I want my money back. Thank you. The Treasury can't just quietly delist Tornado Cash and sanction it later on when the smoke clears, a Texas judge ruled. This is important because this has to do with privacy and whatnot. A permanent injunction has been issued. Treasury barred from reimposing sanctions. Smart contract ruled to not be property under U.S. law. Decisions upholds limits on OFAC's authority over decentralized protocol and sets precedents protecting open source DeFi tools from similar sanctions. Good. Also, there's a crypto group that asked Trump to end prosecution of crypto devs. It's basically the same thing. Free Roman Storm. And I just kind of want to talk a little bit about Trump and what's going on over there in China and stuff like that. So let's talk a little bit about the tariffs and how that is going to impact the world. Well, let's talk a little bit about that. So with the tariffs right now, until we start to get things a little bit sorted, all markets are going to be incredibly volatile. I actually can't talk about it too much, give my opinion. All I know is that prices are already going up and the United States of America needs to do something. That's all I know. And I'm going to tell you right now to prepare yourself every single day for a lot of volatility happening in all different markets, primarily because of the tariffs. That's all. That's all. That's all. And on that note, I'm going to go. I'm actually getting hungry. I ate a little bit this morning, but I'm going to eat again. I'm hungry. And then I got to do some work. I got to get you guys some more content. I got some news coming out for you at 2:30 p.m. PT, so make sure to watch it. It's important for you. It's good for your mind. But again, focus on RWAs. Pay attention to those. Look for projects that have AI, DeFi, RWAs. Anyways, have a good rest of the day, you guys. Bye.